Hello everyone, you're welcome to this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe television. We are broadcasting from Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. I am Babla Jonathan. In our top stories in this edition of the news, more than 11 villages inaccessible in the Nyong and Kele division, central region of the Republic of Cameroon. The road leading to those villages has been blocked by a landslide, and the traditional leader, king of the Bamun people in the west region of the Republic of Cameroon, His Royal Majesty Ibrahim Bombon Joya, is no more. His death was announced today in Paris, and we'll be bringing to you details on that. Stay with us. Thank you for staying with us in this edition of the news on Equinoxe television. One person has died in a conflict between inhabitants of Ntumbo and Jiron villages in the Ndu subdivision, Dongamantum division of the northwest region of the Republic of Cameroon. Details in this report compiled by Charles Abane.
The conflict between Jirong and Ntumbo villages in Ndu subdivision, Dongamantum division of the northwest region, continues to persist, with enormous material damages incurred and loss in human lives recorded. Gaju Stanley of Jirong is the latest victim killed after the attack of Saturday, September 25th, 2021. The incidents of the weekend reportedly left tens of houses burnt and properties destroyed. Both communities have been disputing the Borong piece of land, which was given to the Jirong people following an agreement between administrators of the Dongamantung and some traditional rulers of the Mbum land in Ndu last August 2021. However, it appears that the Ntumbo people have not accepted the decision and haven't buried the hatchet with their neighbors, as they have been raiding Borong in a bid to chastise the Jirong people from the land in question.
Ntumbo people, they don't more than 100 sheep from Borong. They don't broke exactly 58 houses.
The people of Ntumbo have forcefully taken more than 100 sheep from Borong. They have also broken down 58 houses, rendering most of the population homeless. These are some of the victims from Borong, and this house behind us happens to be one of the houses which was burnt over the weekend. Ntumbo people have also harvested all the crops on Borong land and have been chastising our women from their farms.
All corn, for all crops. From Borong women.
The accusations from the Jirong people have, however, been contested by Ntumbo people, who on their part accuse Jirong youths of instigating violence. Some of them say the attack over the weekend is after the Jirong attack on what they qualify as the sub-palace in Borong. The Gendarmerie Company commander from Ndu on his part has reportedly ordered the Jirong people to report anyone trespassing on the land to the competent authorities. However, some of the youths have already been detained in the connection to the weekend incident.
Elsewhere, another conflict, this time conflict between grazers and farmers along the border between Cameroon and the Central African Republic, and this problem is hindering cross-border transhumance and exploitation of agro-pastoral land. Details in this report compiled by Innocent.
Mass grazers conflicts are known to have impeded exploitation of agro-pastoral resources and cross-border transhumance in Cameroon, Chad, and Central African Republic. This phenomenon has had immeasurable consequences. Actors from the Food and Agricultural Organization and other partners struggle to address.
Objective is to tackle the conflict between the farmers and herders. We organized the workshop with the representative of Chad as well as Central African Republic to make sure we can share the best practices and make sure people of Chad, Central African Republic and Cameroon are well trained in addressing, the conflict that exists between farmers and herders.
These experts are using different tools for sustainable resolution of the agro-pastoral conflict.
Transhumance tracking tool is one that has been very useful relative to the necessary data collection that is needed to ensure accurate resolution to identify what exactly lies relative to the numbers of conflicts that are existing and can be avoided relative to this conflict that exists.
Unfortunately, the project will be ending as of October due to lack of funding, but with continuation hope nursed.
The hope is that we will have continuation, as well as at the end of this workshop, the achievements, the going forward, what is necessary to realize the potential of such intervention will have on this project is one that we are looking forward to having.
October ending has been previewed for stop of this project.
More than 11 villages inaccessible in the Nyong and Kele Division, Central Region of the Republic of Cameroon. The road leading to those villages has been blocked by a landslide. Mala Glory has more.
The locals of Manja, Ngibasal 1 and 2 are in great fear following a mud flow of about 500 meters, which has blocked the regional road linking Makak to Ezeka and Ngumo. The ground from the collapse has worsened the already bad state of road, making it slippery for vehicles to go through. The senior divisional officer of Ezeka in the Nyong and Kele division of the Central region visited the site and immediate measures were taken. There was a landslide that blocked a road of over 500 meters, and which I informed the delegate of public works so we can see what to do with the available means. The population appreciated the efforts from the authorities, but say more is still to be done as the rains are not yet over. The rains have not stopped and it doesn't permit us to walk, so let the government intervene as the situation is getting worse. The landslide, which has cut over 11 villages from the regional road, has put the population in danger as they fear for future catastrophe.
Volunteers working with the Red Cross Society in the far north region of the Republic of Cameroon are calling on the head office in Geneva, Switzerland to force Cameroon to organize elections. According to the volunteers, since the death of the last president of the Red Cross in Cameroon, William Eteki Mbumwa, the Red Cross Society has been taken hostage in Cameroon. Smanjikan Gabriel reports.
At a time when Boko Haram raids in the far north region continues to destabilize the people of the region, volunteers working with the Red Cross Society in that region have become invisible, as most of them have abandoned their offices, like the cases of Diamari and Mayusava. Most of them say that the war, as well as poor management, is making them to quit. There are no activities. Our president took us to Guzda, where we had training. On our return, everything was moving on well, until when William Eteki Mbumwa died, that things went rough.
Dès que le président William Eteki Mbumwa était décédé, comme on a mis la présidente femme, elle ne fait pas son travail.
The problem of these volunteers lies on the fact that they had no financial motivation. There is financial difficulty. One can't send people to work without any motivation for them. During a meeting in Mayo Chanaga over the weekend, these volunteers say a lot of impartiality have been noticed within the movement. The volunteers of Diamare, on their part, decry the fact that so many irregularities do exist within the association, because till date no changes have been made at the helm of the Red Cross Society in Cameroon. We have created our own Red Cross Society because the former president violated the text by extending her mandate to expire in 2026. I'm calling on the International Red Cross Society to call for elections in Cameroon immediately.
Responsable du CICR et de la Fédération internationale de soutien de la Croix-Rouge et du Croissant-Rouge d'organiser le plus tôt possible les élections au niveau de la Croix-Rouge camerounaise.
The volunteers working with the Red Cross Society in the Far North region are now calling on the Minister of Public Health to oversee that elections are done when the time comes.
The reorganization of basic organs of the ruling Cameroon People's Democratic Movement (CPDM) political party continues provoking anger, violence, and trouble within the party. In the case of the CPDM in Banganti, in the west region of the Republic of Cameroon, several properties were destroyed in the fight within the context of the reorganization of the grassroots organs of the party there. For me, Armstrong Sander.
The stigma of an agitative night, largely visible at the Banganti party building of the ruling Cameroon People's Democratic Movement (CPDM) party. This is a result of a CPDM against CPDM fight on the night of Saturday, September the 25th, 2021, during the election of the executive members of the party for the Ndé North section. According to Wanja Zakari, Vice President of the CPDM Banganti Subdivisional Electoral Commission, a total of about 200 youths stormed the party building, ransacking, burning and destroying electoral materials. The angry youth of the CPDM, according to him, also attempted to burn down the party house before being stopped by security officials. Sources say the angry youth were denouncing what they qualified as irregularities in the election process and the non-respect of the party's rules and regulation governing the process. Zachary Wanja says some of the concerns raised by the youths had already been forwarded to the CPDM party hierarchy. Earlier, before the CPDM exercise that ended violently, a fictitious basket of liveless birds was found at the entrance to the Mendumba radio in Banganti. Inhabitants of Banganti says the recurrent CPDM against CPDM fight in the area is a show of strength between the mayor of Banganti, Eric Nyad, and the Cameroonian Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Madame Celestine Ketchakutes, who doubles as a top CPDM party elite from Banganti. The dishonorable incident in Banganti also brought the West Regional Governor, Awafonka Augustine, to the town of Banganti for evaluation.
That is what happened in Banganti in the northwest, or rather west region of the Republic of Cameroon. Now still in the west region, the people of Bamun are now mourning the passing away of their traditional leader. His Royal Majesty Mbombo Njoya is no more. His death was announced today. He died in a hospital in the French capital city, Paris, following ill health. Born on October 27, 1937 in Fumban, he has been the king of the people of Bamun land since 1992, and he became senator in 2013. He died on the night of the 26th of September, breaking 27 September 2021, following ill health at the age of 84. And in the same vein, the former government delegates to the Kumba City Council in the Meme Division, Southwest region of Cameroon is no more. Victor Kelengo is also dead. He died of ill health, and the circumstances surrounding his death, however, yet to be completely clarified, and his death was equally announced earlier today. And he was the city mayor, or rather the government delegate at the time on the Kumba City Council since 2009 to 2020, when he was first elected as pioneer city mayor of the town before the election was cancelled and a rerun done, a rerun which he lost to Gregory Mewano, and he is no more today. Victor Kelengo is no more. Now, on the sidelines of the day consecrated to tourism, we take you to one of the tourist attractions in the Republic of Cameroon, abandoned in the bush as a result of security crisis and other problems highlighted by civil society leaders. We are taking you to the slave trade village in Bimbia in the southwest region with our reporters Manjik and Gabriel.
Gate leading to the historic slave trade village of Bimbia, and you can see right behind me the gate is locked, and around outside the gate you will notice that it's dirty, grass all over the place.
The grass tells us how the poor nature of the road leading to the slave trade village has impacted on the site, making it difficult for even council workers to clean the zone. The signboard indicating the presence of the historic site is also in a pitiful condition, showing how the slave trade village has been abandoned. A site UNESCO wants to name a heritage center. The slave trade village would have been a nice touristic attraction for our visitors come the next African Cup of Nations.
This zone used to give a lot of money to the inhabitants and most importantly the council of Limbe 3 municipality, but due to the fact that the road is not passable, no tourist can reach here for some revenues to get into the council coffers.
Another historic site that people will definitely want to pass time during the AFCON will be in Bonagombe village. It is the zone where the first missionary, Joseph Merrick, landed and opened the first missionary church at the time the world was fighting to stop slave trade.
The cannon you're seeing right there was implanted by those who were fighting against people who continue to do illegal transportation of slaves in this zone. Right behind me, you'll find the Nico Island. The Nico Island where stubborn slaves were kept. And most of the ships that left Nico Island are coasted right behind me, where you see the slave trade village. That is where most of the small ships are coasted to pick slaves, taking them out of the country. It is where things happened, and even at this zone till now, the cannon still represents the history of Cameroon. The history of Cameroon, many will want to see when the African Nations Cup will start next year. This is Smart Njiken Gabriel, Robert Mukube for Equinoxe Television News in Bimbia.
And that's it for the first part of this newscast. Talking Point comes up next. Thank you for staying with us in Talking Points. We're receiving Dr. Nick Nguyen. He's an educationist. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be with you again.
All right. You are a medical expert as well. We're talking about issues concerning human organs trafficking, notably in hospitals in the Republic of Cameroon today. And we are taking off from the case of a young man who suffered this illegal activity and he died at the Yaoundé Central Hospital. What is happening within our hospital setups with our doctors, with our health professionals who are taking the oath to serve the people and to save lives?
I'm not so sure about that history. All I know is that on social media, I saw that there was a young man in a coffin, and the family was kind of like brutalizing the director of the hospital with the story that he had been stabbed, and in the course of the operation or whatever, some organs had been stolen, and the family had no evidence to this, except that they said that, I mean, from what I could gather, that when they looked at the corpse of their brother, it looks like he had a huge incision or whatever, and many more operation sites, that they didn't expect to see. So, just looking at that, and going along with the story that is circulating about organs and many other similar stories, there is something wrong that we need to address, and I'm glad that I have this opportunity to come on television to talk to our people so that they really, it's an educational kind of a thing, so that we know what is going on. Sometimes our emotions run wild and we do certain things that are really regrettable. I was not there, but what I can tell you, let's just take the case in point, this young man who was stabbed. It doesn't matter with what instrument you are stabbed. It could just be even a little iron that goes into your stomach, or a knife. We don't know how broad the blade was, but the bottom line is, as long as it has gone into your abdomen, no doctor can swear as to what has gone on in there. All you know is that it has gone into the person and there's damage in there. And you are not going to be able to see that damage through the small pinhole. Which means that when you take the patient to theater, you've got to make a midline incision, open it so that you can clearly identify all the organs, examine them, and try to take stock of what has gone wrong. That's the bottom line. And therefore, imagine all scenarios. A knife goes in, the knife can go up, it can go sideways, it can go down, it can go deep in there, it can cut just about anything in the stomach, and it can even go right up into the chest cavity. So you are out there, you want the doctors to save your patient, and the doctor has the patient on the table, and he has got to do that incision to go in there and actually see what is wrong and try to see if he can help. And I would imagine that any doctor that is well trained, his main objective will be to try to save lives and help people. And if they
in trying to do that, he will certainly, as you're explaining, need to go right into the
you have to
into the body to be able to see what happened.
You have to.
But in this particular case, as of now, we are still at the level of accusations by the family here, and the organs have disappeared. But that is the fact is that organs have disappeared.
No,
and
the fact is not,
organs have been disappearing. In
no. I wouldn't say that organs have disappeared.
According to the family.
According to the family, they can only say organs disappeared if they went back, let's say, into the hospital, and with a team of experts, with the family present. If they open that corpse and examine all the organs and found that organs were missing, well, that's another story.
And then a medical expert to certify that this organ, this organ.
And it doesn't matter. The family could be there. They will look at the kidneys, look at the liver, look at everything, and so on. But to just look at the corpse and say organs have disappeared, that kind of a story is going to cause a war in this nation that is not nice. You're going to start brutalizing health personnel. And when next you show up with your patient and they say they're not touching your patient, that will be another problem again. And, when doctors and nurses, when they work in hospital, when the health teams are working in the hospital, there is one factor that is key to the management of the patient is trust. And this trust is both ways. The patient and the family have got to trust the medical team, and the medical team have got to trust the patients, and they all work together to make the life of the patient better. But what you are seeing now is a deterioration in the level of trust amongst the patients and the health staff. And then, you've been noticing two other fights between police people and road users. There are all sorts of fights going on. And of course, recently again, you have seen political fights all over the whole place. All of this is an element of trauma and violence in the community, and we need to seriously address this. That issue of vivre ensemble, we need to redefine it and find out what is going wrong, because there's a level of trust that has dropped. But again, I'm not trying to whitewash medical staff, because there are a couple of things that need to be corrected in the health systems. I mean, that was yesterday, Sunday. I know somebody who traveled to Washington yesterday from Yaoundé Airport, and he had done his COVID test, and they would not give him his COVID test from the testing laboratory. The COVID tests were withheld until he paid 100,000 francs to get it. So when we have these bad examples, you cannot just say, you never know what goes on, but we expect that people should be doing their jobs according to the way they are trained to do them. And when families start beating doctors, beating directors in hospital, that's not a good thing.
The Minister of Public Health condemned that and said, no matter whatever happens, there is nothing that can justify people coming to beat medical personnel, attacking the director of the hospital and things like that.
And I know there was a military man too who beat a military man or something who beat up the hospital staff like that. And I know there was another problem like that somewhere in Bonaberi. So there are all sorts of these kinds of
the
stories.
COVID stories.
Yeah, and so when we are talking about trust and everything, it goes for everybody. in as much as the Minister of Health is speaking, trust goes with everybody. Like the resources of the nation are given to you for a particular activity, people should also be able to trust you with that, with those resources. So when the boss is not trusted, the whole trust thing goes down.
Beyond that, Doctor, I come back to this.
Yeah.
There have been other cases where organs have disappeared in hospitals.
No, we cannot say. Like what? Like fingers, like legs, or what?
Yes, fingers, legs, and the
internal organs,
private part. I mean, external organs that can be clearly seen that it has been cut off.
Okay, that's something. So next time, when you go and you realize that that has happened and that you suspect that organs are missing, then probably call the police in, call your lawyers, and so on. And then someone somewhere would authorize that a proper autopsy be done, a public autopsy. By that I mean the family is called in and people are witnesses to that autopsy before you can say that organs are missing. Otherwise, don't just proclaim that organs are missing like that. Just it causes a lot of trauma in the community.
Beyond that, the take-home message: doctors should not be beaten by whosoever.
No, doctors should not be beaten by whosoever. But we should go beyond the beating of the doctors, the beating of police, and all this fighting, and find out what is happening. That's why we need, people are being beaten in hospitals. It's an indication of lack of trust in the whole community, because some fights are in churches and whatever. Nobody is trusting anybody again. That's the problem.
Thanks, Dr. Nick. Thank you for your time. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us today. That's it for this edition of the News Coming Up. The Press Dispute from Yaoundé, and after that, Equinoxe.